Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how are you doing this week?
Doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Can't
Here
believe
in the
it.
Northeast, yeah, we are well into fall and we had a taste of winter.
We had snow for Halloween. Actually, we had snow the day before, and it was still on the ground. And now we got a nice little windstorm going on with a few power outages. As far as it's 20-mile-an-hour wind, but the gusts have knocked out a few people, and hopefully we won't be included in that this afternoon. But it's pretty wild watching everything out there, especially with all the leaves blowing all over the place. But it's great. So boring old New
Welcome to Welcome to New England weather. This is what happens. All right. So today we are joined by two guests, Erika Heeren and Falk from the Small Business Marketing Studio. Ladies, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're so glad you could be here this week. And let's start off. Tell us a little bit about each of yourselves and what you do.
So I'll kick off on that one. My name is Erika Heeren, and I am the president and founder of the Small Business Marketing Studio. We do marketing for small businesses. We're a little bit different, though, because we go out and we recruit military spouses and veterans looking to break into the career field of marketing, and we pair them with small businesses that need that kind of support.
Fantastic. And Anne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. So I am one of the military spouses that works at the Small Business Marketing Studio. I'm also a veteran, so I had a couple different ways in there, but I am the office and sales assistant. So what I do is mostly administrative in nature. I am newer to marketing, but I'm exposed to a lot of new material every week. And with all of my tasks and just from learning through Erika as a mentor.
Yeah, and speaking of Erica, I mean, when I first met you, Ann, I went in before I had my Zoom with the two of you and looked up Erica's bio through the website. And your path to where you are right now and how you started the business is very interesting. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because obviously it's great background for where you are right now and what the company's doing.
Yeah, so I've been in marketing and communications, public relations, somewhere in that big jumble of that side of the industry for more than 16 years now, which is hard to believe. But I started out working with a few different media outlets. I was a reporter for a while. I've been a marketing consultant. I went on to agency work with a lot of small business owners. I freelanced, and then I went on to work for a bigger IT firm in their marketing and communications department. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot. It was big into the government contracting side of things. But small business has always been at the core of everything that I do. That's where my passion is. So I moved on from the IT firm to open my own boutique firm. It was Heeren Content Strategy. That was 5 years ago, believe it or not. And it was just me and a virtual assistant. And we took on clients based on who I could handle at one given time. It was successful. We hit all our goals. We were doing well. But because I am a military spouse myself, I knew that eventually we were going to have to move again. We were going to have to transfer the business and all of that. And I kind of sat back on that and thought, I'm not the only one who has these struggles. So I went back to my VA at the time, who's now our operations manager, and said, we can do something bigger than just, Erika Heeren Boutique Agency. So we decided to take our business model and kind of turn it on its ear and make it more of pretty much it's virtual assistants that specialize in marketing for small businesses, which is, a growing industry. So we kind of pivoted from the typical marketing agency layout to that virtual assistant style doing business, and then just focused on the military spouses and veterans who are in the same boat that I was. My VA, now operations manager, is military spouse as well. And it just kind of grew from there. Now we have several different marketing professionals who come in. They're all W-2s. They all go through extensive training, lots of internal management and quality control with their first few clients, and then we kind of let them gain some independence that way. We brought Anne on, almost a year ago. And then COVID hit. So I like to tell people that, we were ahead of the curve with the remote work stuff, but the reality is that's just the nature of the beast for military spouses, and has been for the better part of a decade now. So we just happen to be better prepared for that than most of your other marketing agencies are. But that's how we got to where we are today.
Fantastic. I love the focus on veterans and military spouses. Can you talk a little bit about the unique challenges that those audiences have?
Yeah, so the average military family, over the course of a 20-year career, which is a typical military career in any branch, if they're going to do the full lifer status, they'll move about 20 times, or between 10 to 20 times over the course of that career. So it could be you're in one place for 1 year, you're in there for 3 years. It really varies. And if you've been in the job market for any length of time, you know that those little sporadic bursts don't look good on a resume. And when you're stationed in near military bases, the employers in the area look at that and they identify you really fast as a short timer, because they're so used to seeing military spouses come into the market. So you don't get picked up for the jobs that you want. It's gotten to I have had people that have law degrees who come to me and say, well, I'm working at Subway on base right now because nobody else will hire me, but it doesn't cover the cost of childcare. Mm-hmm. So then they opt out of working, right? And it's not that they don't want to work, it's that the options just aren't there for them in certain bases. So it's a bit more challenging than you would expect in the civilian sector. I think COVID has kind of pulled back that curtain a little bit, because now everybody else is in a similar boat. But the reality is, military spouses, this is a way of life. Not much has changed for us. And I know Anne can kind of delve deeper into her experiences, both as a transitioning vet and a military spouse as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a transitioning service member, it wasn't too bad. I served probably a fraction of the times, than most people, but it was still kind of the biggest challenge with that was translating your military experience to private sector resumes and what they expect. Because I don't know if you've ever asked a service member what they do, but they have a really hard time explaining their job. It doesn't come out the way you'd expect, or they don't know how to explain it to you with all the military verbiage. But so that wasn't too bad. The transition assistance program helps a lot. They bring in someone from the Department of Labor and they help you kind of translate your resume over. I didn't have too much trouble as a veteran getting a job. It was the military spouse side of things when it started to get really tricky. I mean, I had about 5 or 6 jobs within 2 years. We moved 3 times. It was really difficult. And at one point I went back to waitressing just because I needed something to do, but I couldn't quite get the job that I wanted I didn't really have gaps in my resume. It was more that it was just very sporadic and all over the place, and there was no focus on any one industry. So that's definitely a struggle. And I mean, in the military community, that's known. It's just a really tough challenge to face, because you're qualified. I have a bachelor's degree and you're overqualified for all of these jobs, but companies don't trust that. They want you to be there for the long haul and want you to be able to grow, and if they're investing all the time in you. But yeah, then I knew I needed a remote work. So I knew that was the only way I could grow with the company. And I came across the small business marketing studio, and it has been such a blessing to know that I have this job security.
Excellent. Now, of course, because of COVID, everybody is familiar with remote work, but you guys started out before that, like I did, working virtually. Did you have any difficulties explaining this model to people?
Most of our existing clients in my existing network, when we transitioned from Heeren Content to Small Business Marketing Studio, were already used to that. I had been expecting that we were going to get orders to move for a couple years before we actually did. So I had kind of been preparing my clients and my network for, hey, this is how we do things. And with our younger business owners, and by younger business owners, I mean under the age of 45, usually they don't miss a beat. It's, hey, we do consultations most of the time in person. If it's not convenient for you, we'll do it on Zoom. And then we handle stuff on the back end. And, it's not like it's a day-to-day interaction is needed when you're doing somebody's marketing. So it was an easy transition for the industry. I can see how there are other industries where it wouldn't have been the case. We're very fortunate to be in the industry that we are, and we're able to transition it fairly easily without people looking at us going, how exactly does this work and can I trust it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think timing wise, it couldn't have been better for you because I mean, we're obviously in a brand new world right now with business logistics shifting to the need for exactly what your services are.
Yeah.
And when I saw your website to see all the different things and your approaches as far as doing things, it looks like you have a lot of great things covered. And then you told me that you were really kind of just getting going. But I would imagine that you have probably a lot of interest now, and you'll be getting a whole lot more as time moves ahead. And I know that both Eric and I are networkers, and we probably both talked to you a lot about that and helping you spread the word. And obviously, the niche market with connecting veterans with businesses is wonderful. So comment on that a little bit, but I think you're in a really, really good spot right now where what you're doing as far as the way you're doing it is just scratching the surface.
Yeah. And I think a lot of businesses, one of the things we've noticed, as soon as COVID hit, it was such a financial hit for every business. I mean, every business got hit by that. It doesn't matter what you were doing. So we're starting to see businesses kind of coming out of that where they, look at their money and go, oh my God, we can't spend anything. Now it's kind of okay, now we need to learn how to keep this sustainable because we don't know when all of these restrictions are going to lift. And the reality of business is no matter what you believe about what's going on, you still have to operate. You still have to bring in money. So how do you do that in the short term without losing your long-term vision? So I think that businesses are starting to shift into that mindset, which is helping us in our business model as well.
Great. And of course, on top of all the work you do with this, you're also an upcoming author, correct? Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so First Dollar Feeling is actually my first venture as an author. I've been working on it for a couple years. I've worked with about 200 clients over the course of my career, most of them in the small business industry, and you hear a lot of great stories. You hear a lot of great backstories that don't necessarily come with the bigger corporate companies. So I went with 9 different business owners that I have personally worked with that have either been my clients or they've served with me on a board or something of that nature. And I delved into their stories. So why they started, struggles they encountered, how they got through them, and what they're doing now to remain successful. So these are businesses that, have made all of the mistakes and still found a way to come out of it. And then included in those interviews is our strategy sessions from my business experience and market research on how businesses today can apply that information to what's going on both with COVID and in the general business environment so that they're not making those same mistakes. It's really speaking to that business owner that's hitting that 4, 5, 10-year mark and they're getting burnt out in their business. And they're really struggling to figure out the path forward without it taking over their entire lives, because it's really easy to allow your business to do that. So it's about getting them back to that exciting first dollar feeling, that first time that somebody buys from you, that first customer. The longer you can hold on to that feeling as an entrepreneur, the more joy you'll find in your business. So it's all about helping them get back to that point. But it does come out for pre-order on Amazon on November 27th, and then it's available for purchase on December 14th, just in time for Christmas. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, tell us the name of the book again so everybody writes it down.
It's First Dollar Feeling, and you can sign up for release information at firstdollarfeeling.com.
Great. So in describing the book, you mentioned how these folks got back to the joy in their business. What for you is the joy in your business? Where do you get that feeling from?
It's kind of twofold, and I built that in intentionally. Like I said, small business is it's in my blood. My mom owns a business, going way back when. Pretty much every member of my family has ventured out on their own entrepreneurially in some facet or another. So it runs in the family. I grew up in small towns where small business is just, that's the backbone of the community. So I really enjoy working with them, and that brings me joy, is helping see them succeed. And then of course, helping other military spouses figure out how to sustain themselves and become financially stable as military families is another big thing. So I'm able to do both on a daily basis in my business, which makes it really easy to stay excited even when it's, a Monday, and a rough Monday at that. So it makes it easier.
Great. Anne, what about you? Where do you find the joy in your work?
I think it's definitely, I have a similar answer. It's helping small businesses. We also had small business in my family growing up. And so that means a lot to me. And also my favorite jobs have been when I work with small businesses, because you feel like you're able to make more of an impact and you're able to really have a voice in the direction of the business. So that's always been kind of something that I look forward to when I work, is knowing that what I'm doing can actually make a difference with the direction of the company, and what I'm doing has a direct impact. So I definitely find a lot of joy in that part of it. And then just being able to see this grow, for sure.
So you said you've had, hundreds of clients. What kinds of industries have you worked in, and do you specialize in any particular industries?
So me personally, I am one of those people that can take highly technical information and humanize it. It's just how my brain works. So I've done really well in the IT, engineering, aviation fields, personally. And then as an agency, we have people from all kinds of different backgrounds. We have one that specializes in business coaches and their kind of marketing. We have one that specializes in healthcare. We have another one that specializes in education, and another one that specializes in the financial industry, and another one that specializes in retail. So every marketer has their favorite niche area, even though we often veer outside of it and can perform adequately in any area. But one of the benefits of our business model is that we're able to recruit based on those niche areas, so that if you have a business in one of these industries, whether it's a retail store, a restaurant, or what have you, we have somebody who specializes in that type of marketing and loves doing it. So it works out well.
Great. Now, Anne, you mentioned that now you're a military spouse, but you were active duty and you're a veteran.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you did in the service and how you were able to transition?
Yeah, so I was a Russian linguist. I learned Russian, so I was able to pick up an associate's in that. And the transition My transition out was a little bit different than most people. So my time, long story short, all of the medical horror stories you hear about the military are true. I was medically separated, so I wasn't able to serve my full contract. I wanted to, so it was kind of a mess at the time. But the transition is, I don't know, the whole hurry up and wait that you hear is so true. It happened so quickly, but it also took forever. Um, but they send you through a program, the transition assistance program, which I touched on earlier, and that helps you transition out. I mean, they'll go over your financials with you, help you budget, they'll help you with your resume and just tell you all the benefits that you should expect. So transitioning out, as long as you're up for it and you're paying attention, is it was an easy process for me. I know shifting online right now, and I know people that took the course online didn't get as much out of it, unfortunately, and I'm sure they're changing that. But the transition from service member to civilian wasn't too bad. And I can see how it could be very frustrating for people who have served a lot longer, especially when it comes to them wanting to get a job in the private sector, just because no one understands what you're talking about with all of the acronyms and trying to explain your job. But yeah, my transition wasn't too bad. I was actually able to start a job while still active duty. I was on terminal leave. So I had a nice smooth transition.
So how are you getting your candidates to help you out? I know you have some of that on your website as far as getting people to work with you.
What do you mean by help us out?
Um,
Are we finding them or?
yeah, basically assistants, project managers, and so on. There's a lot on your website that I'm sure you do some yourself, but you get help in other ways to do that. And I wonder, obviously you're probably finding people with the veteran backgrounds to fill those voids too. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we have the military community is a fairly tight knit one. So as our team grows, our network grows of people that, when you have a new marketer come in that is enjoying the process, they're more likely to refer out to other military spouses or to veterans. But, and actually for the most part, I don't deal with as many client accounts as I did when it was just me. In a perfect world, excuse me, in a perfect world, most of those hours are going to my marketing professionals. And then I spend most of my time, dealing with the higher level marketing vision and the training up the marketers in our business, which is where I want to be at this stage of my career. So I'm still around, but I am building them into their own book of clients. I like to tell people I'm probably the only business owner who wants you to hire, wants you to steal my employees, because in a perfect world, what we'd like to see happen is to have a business paired with a marketing professional, have that relationship go well, and have the business owner grow to the point where they can hire a full-time marketing manager and then hire that military spouse full-time. In a perfect world, that's what I would love to see happen, where you can build that mutual trust and you're building that revenue and the business is becoming a job creator and the military spouse has full-time remote work. That's an ideal situation. So we've really built our business model to be able to accommodate that. And then for veterans, usually what we see is I want to get into marketing, but I don't know where to start. So we do have 3-month, 6-month, and 1-year internship programs that we're rolling out this year, where they get to help us with different client accounts to get the boots on the ground experience. They're all paid internships. And then we also help them get placed in a small business that needs support either in their local area or remotely, either part-time or full-time. And then we help the business owner become a more productive veteran employer. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship because there is a communication gap there. So we work really hard to bridge that for them so it's a sustainable long-term relationship.
That's great. It's good for small businesses, and it's a fantastic service for veterans and military spouses. it's amazing how you've brought all that together. So the big question now, with everything going on with COVID, and hopefully we'll be coming out of that soon, where do you see the business going?
Right now I'm building up our team. My goal is that my highest performing VMPs, they have the option to either they can stay part-time, or they can go on to work and be placed in another small business, or they can stay with us. What I'd like to see is have military spouses that, as their spouse starts ending up towards retirement and they need that full-time job, to take on a full-time regional manager or state manager job with the agencies. We have satellite offices that are manned by military spouses that know what this life is like, and can continue to grow that brand and move forward from there. We do have a scholarship program for our military spouses and veterans as well, that they can use towards certifications, accreditations, degrees, accredited means of education in the digital marketing sphere, because it's always needed and everything changes.
Yes.
So we're looking at growing that program. So yeah, that's the short term. I guess 10-year isn't really short term, but that's where we'd like to end up going.
Excellent. All right, we're coming up on the end of our time. So for anybody who wants to get more information about the Small Business Marketing Studio, possibly, wants to work with you, how can they get more info?
The best way is to communicate with us through the website. It's smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com. Or you can just Google us at the Small Business Marketing Studio. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So you can reach out to us through any of those platforms as well.
Great. And Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
Again, I think you're in the perfect space at the perfect time as far as doing what you're doing, and helping out military spouses by doing what you're doing too is just amazing. So all of you business owners out there looking at the new normal, it's so important to focus on what you do well and to sub out everything else that you need subbing out, and budget for it accordingly, and then don't worry about the problem. And the first place to call for marketing is right here with us today. So good luck to both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm so glad you could do this. And I think the big takeaway is not just how the business adapted virtually to today's situations, but how they found their specific niche. And that's so important. There are so many business people that are trying to be everything to everybody. And I think one of the big functions that made you guys successful is you had this niche to work with military spouses and veterans, and it's a fantastic group to work with. And, we wish you all the success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us on the Apple Podcasts app, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.